Hello, everyone. This is NXL 360, your football movement. We're not only a podcast, we're a movement. We're trying to cover football in all angles. That's why the name 360. It doesn't mean we cover from the coaching side, playing style, management, everywhere, basically, even from the fan side. That's why we appreciate your support, all those who are subscribing and sharing the live, coming up with positive comments, encouragement, criticism. Everything is welcome, guys. We're not really saying, don't say this, say that. We're not deleting any comments. Everyone's opinion is highly respected. Obviously, yesterday we saw Chippa United hosting Kaizer Chiefs. Most people were expecting Amakosa Mahle beating Kaizer Chiefs. It didn't happen. And I'm interested to know from the board gentleman Kola and Coach KP why that didn't happen. I'm not alone as usually, obviously. I've got the maestro, South African football, 1010, Kola. Kola, how are you? And how did you see the game against Chiefs and Pirates? I mean, sorry, it's not Chiefs and Pirates. Chippa United. I'd rather say Pirates B, because most Pirates are always going to Chippa United, not Chippa and Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah. Good morning to everyone. Thanks, Nadim. I think most people were obviously expecting the Chiefs to win, looking at their run of form in the league, But when you're looking at their form in all competition, I think they haven't been having a good run. They went away, Egypt. They lost 2-1 with the mistakes. They came back. They were playing still in the Confederation. They also drew. They equalized later on. So it hasn't been a smooth sailing road for the Kaizer Chiefs. Same as the Chippa, their previous game, they lost against Orlando Pirates, and they only have one win in how many games? 12, if not mistaken. So it's very difficult time for them. Asaz Guti, if they're going to make a turnaround to try and fight the relegation zone, but as it looks, they are at the disadvantage. So everyone was expecting what it's going to be an easy game for the Chiefs. But looking at their track record, Chiefs and Chippa United, Chippa always gives Chiefs a hard time. So it could have gone either way. It was supposed to be maybe a motivational booster for Chippa to start collecting points. I mean, in all the games that they played, they only have one win. And what was the win up against? So when you look at their previous 6 games, they don't have a win at all. The best that they got, it's the draw against the Siwelele, it's the draw against the Chiefs. They lost to the Pirates 2-0. They lost to Amazulu 3-0. They lost to Marumo Gallants 2-1. Where else Marumo scored their second goal in the dying minutes. So critical phases of the match, I think they are struggling a bit. So they need to do something. They try to beef up season Maisaqala, going with the Eastern Cape type of mentality, bringing in a lot of Eastern Cape boys, which was good for their province. But is it at their disadvantage now? Is it working against them? We are yet to see. So Kaizer Chiefs also, I don't think their supporters are happy and comfortable, because when it was starting, it seems as if like it was the house on fire. They were looking, my supporter saying all those that they are going to win the league, and then the deep started to rise. It's not an easy one. Like we were talking previously, I'm not sure if this coaching thing is working for them, to be honest, like I've touched in the previous episode. So maybe Kaizer Chiefs have to go back to the drawing board and try to consider having a head coach who's going to stick in one philosophical style. But if they don't, I don't see them competing for the league or coming closer to competing for a top 4 or top 5.
So what's your take? With these results, Kaizer Chiefs, obviously, I agree with you. You think they need a coach. When do they need a coach? Now, during the transfer, international window, Bafana gonna be playing in the AFCON, or end of the season?
I think it would be best if they can chip in a coach now with the break, so that he can have enough time to try and work with the team that he has. Abo Onoguti, as the players that maybe needs to improve, are the players maybe he needs to put in to try and beef up the squad, because they have the quality. When you get their signings, the players that they brought in, they are youngsters, they doing fairly well. We can't falter them at any point. They drop points, man, in critical games. If you're going to struggle to collect points against the bottom five, then how do we then expect you to collect points against the top eight or the top five teams? It's a difficult one. So I think it's best they choose whether to go with either of the core coaches or they go out to look for somebody that think can fit and help the Kaizer Chiefs to go. Because they brought in Onabi after so many years. At least he gave them a trophy, something to cheer, So maybe it's not a bad idea for them to have a person who's going to lead the ship. Ngoba at this present moment, you cannot have two drivers. Now, yes, when two people are driving the same car, it's bound to feel uncomfortable for the other one.
So most people, they are saying Pizzo can be the one coach who can really improve Kaizer Chiefs. Do you agree? Because it's available, we know it's around. I mean,
Yeah, with the experience, we don't know how he's going to, because he hasn't been coaching in the local league for quite some time now. Is he still intact with the standard of the PSL, the games, the speed, But with his experience and a character that he possesses, maybe he could be one of the options. But I I strongly believe, Minoguti, yes, sometimes people think Uguti the trial and tested and all of those things. But you can also look into giving new coaches an opportunity, if there is high potential in their work that they are doing. Now, Orlando Pirates went for a coach who've never coached the entire season in the PSL with Absalom. And it's been a while since we reached this stage of the competition. In December time, we see a different team leading the log, So it's open up for either or. They can
no,
either go outside or come locally, because I think we do have good quality coaches. The only difference, Mina, that I'm picking up with these teams is that I'm not sure if they are patient enough when it comes to local coaches, giving them the opportunity to run with their teams as compared to international ones. I don't know what's behind that, whether we are quick to lose faith in our own and we are able to give a bit of grace to international coaches.
Coach KP, what's your take? We saw Chippa United a match change. I mean, Kaizer Chiefs were much changed from the team that played Zamalek in Polokwane. How did you see the game? As Kola has said, Chippa has really won one game this season in 15 matches. One win in 15 matches. I strongly believe they are going back. They are going to the NFT. There's no way about it.
Yeah, by the look of things, as the log looks currently, I mean, they've played 15, won one, lost 8 games. And then you're asking yourself, how are they going to get through this? Majority of the teams are already over the 15th, on the 15-point game. So you're asking, how is Chippa going to survive? But if you look at the points are not far-fetched because they are on 9 and your number 12 is sitting currently on 16. So I think it's still open. There's still a whole lot of teams that can still go down. But we know, man, Chippa has a way of making it out. They've always found a way of surviving relegation. Is this the year where they're going to be relegated? We are yet to see. With their 5th coach in charge now, you're asking, is he going to be given enough time? I mean, he has played Orlando Pirates, he has played Kaizer Chiefs. He managed to get his first point at home, and then he's going to have a break. Maybe this break might come in handy for the coach Musmose in order for him to work on his team. So, but looking at the game, man, I think Chippa started on a very positive note because I think on the first 30 seconds of the game, that's where they won their first corner. And going back to all the golden days or the old generation days where we knew corner is a goal, I thought maybe they had a plan to press Chiefs high. But as the game progressed, I think their striker, Figueiredo, he's a hard run of a striker whom I thought he was going to cause trouble between Ukwinika and Miguel, but not really much was given to him, or maybe not the kind of support that he expected, because you are thinking if you are having a striker like him, you will have him running hard on the defenders, but it didn't work out. And then if you look at the Kaizer Chiefs team, I don't know, man, if if they can afford to be rotating the team the way they are, looking at the results. But them as well, they are sitting fifth on the log on 23 points. And then you look at the mighty Bagania on 28 on equal games. If you look at the gap, they're not far-fetched. But how they played yesterday, I don't know. Like I said before, Nadim, I think Chiefs has the personnel. They've got the players, but they don't have a team. They still need that combination. We saw a total new middle field combination that has never played before. With Umaboy, with Kendi Shopper, and who's the Mukoko guy? Mato, with Mato there playing. So, and it was good to see Mato playing 90 minutes. I honestly felt, I don't know how you guys choose the man of the match, but I felt my boy deserved the man of the match award, but it was not given. And then the idea of starting Valibai and Obrigado on the wings, I don't know if it's a concern for me, but I think it's something that I would like to touch on if time allows. I'll just move it a bit so that you
touch
can
on
see.
it.
Yeah, hopefully you can see. So for me, the red is Kaizer Chiefs. So you have Valibai here, you have Vilagazi here, you have Valibai here, and then they had Silva with the two center backs because Chippa was playing before at the back. So Tola maybe can come in and help me. So this is their middle field. It was Mabo, it was Matro, it was Candy Shaw. What I saw or what Chiefs was trying to do, they had this guy, they would give width in order to create 1v1s. But then at the end, you see Vilagazi always cutting in. And then the moment he cuts in, for me, you would always have a CDM who's here or another CDM, as we call them, double pivot. So he's forever cutting into traffic. So I think, I mean, if this space here is not being utilized, then what's the use of us having a winger that is going to cut in? Because if he comes in and then this guy comes, he moves, then it means we need to have a full back that is going to be utilizing this space. But in the most cases, what I saw, you find Villa cutting in. Here's the center back, he cuts in, and then he gets the defense shift in, and then they shift in. So it makes no sense for me to be having this guy cut in, especially if we are not going to be utilizing this space. And also, if you look at it, Nadine, if you have Villa here, if you have Villa who's very skillful, I mean, Villa is a very skillful player. Why not have him on the left on his strong foot and have Ubalibai on his strong foot as well? Because if you are isolating this guy, then you can then take him on for 1v1. And if you are creating 1v1, then they are forcing this guy to come out in order to give cover. Then it allows the striker 1v1 with the center back. So for us to always be having the full backs that are cutting in or the wing backs that are cutting in, and then this guy comes here. That's what I'm saying. Maybe Gola will advise. So Gola, if this guy is coming here, Villa receives the ball here, he cuts in, he comes in, and then the striker obviously will move in. You have, and then they are number 10 as well. And then this guy is also cutting in. In the little experience that I have, I'm thinking if they are doing this, they are trying to push over this guy because obviously the team needs to shift. So they are shifting this guy. You should be able to have this guy moving here as a full back, and then the half 10 also comes nearer to the striker. And then these guys need to deal with it. And then it must also create space for the number 10 role. Because if you are cutting in, you are not even playing him the ball. Then what's the use of you cutting in? Is it a matter of cutting in to play wide, or are you cutting in order for this guy to make this diagonal run to create this V1's position? I don't know, but I always feel that if we're going to be having Vilagazi playing as a right wing, always cutting in, and then you have a striker like Usilva who's not going to be getting supply, what's the use of that? I think it also weakens the position of number 10. As I'm saying, Tola maybe can help us. Because I didn't see Novo having too much shots. I think he only had one shot in target the whole game. I didn't see him breaking windows. So what's the use of you having a number 10 if you are going to be having wingers that both of them are cutting in? And for me, I don't think they're executing it right. Vidagas has a very educated left foot. Try him on the left side, especially if you are playing with Silva. But if you're going to allow him to cut in, I think they have Udupris, who can make those shoulder runs. I don't know, Tola, what's your take on that?
In my opinion, I think, to be honestly, they got it wrong. You cannot have a tall striker like Silva having to be the one expected to be receiving crosses and whatsoever, because I don't think he's that comfortable when it comes to playing with his feet, you know. So when you're playing Uvila on the lopsided side and playing Uvelipa on the lopsided side, but you don't have runners in behind, it closes the space because you can't move defenders, you know?
Yeah.
So immediately when those two boys are cutting inside, when they get the opportunity to cut inside, they will always find traffic because there are no players who are trying to move full backs, center backs, so that space for them to take shots or play those diagonal passes or lopsided passes. So for me, it was a wrong choice of personnel. Ngoba you also have a three midfielder that does not have a natural CDM, which it is an advantage that can also be a disadvantage. You want them to have a rotational allowance. If Umabue is going, you know, Guti, you are staying behind with Ungobo and Umatlo. If Ungobo is going, but it wasn't happening like that. They always wanted to create the diamond, but who's giving them the aggressive width? They did not have that. You know, it in most cases it worked for them when they were playing with Confed, because when Villa was cutting in, he had an aggressive fullback which wasn't Umunyai playing. At that time, Bekdala Solomons. That's why we saw Solomon scoring a lot of goals. If Villa is taking a width and then Solomon comes inside, he takes the inverted runs. It gives them option, because now it leaves a question from the opposition. Zuguti, are we going to sit inside with this one, or are we following the one who's outside? Then that's when spaces are being created. But if you don't have those movements, then you are limiting yourself and limiting the opportunities, because now you are playing into your opponent's trap. They're expecting you to cut inside. You cut inside, they have more numbers to try and win the ball, you know. So you'll lack when it comes to superiority. So if they have more numbers, they'll have like superior advantage. It will also give the freedom to their back four, because now everyone have to come back to make sure they are closing all those gaps, you know, and it becomes difficult for them to play out with a counter if you have all the people placed in right position for a rest defense. So I think maybe they could have considered having Dupreez, a person who's going to make those runs, to try and move the center back so that they can have space. Uvelibai, when the ball is on the other side, he can chip in as a second striker. So as when the ball is on inside Yaga Velipai, then we know Gutu Villa must come inside as the second striker. But they didn't use Silva to his best ability, being a box type of striker where he's expecting crosses coming in and aggressively attacking.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a dissecting from Coach KP and Kola. I agree with you, gentlemen. We're seeing a high level of poor coaching at Kaizer Chiefs. They just hope they will get a chance and score. That's it. There's no plan. You can see this coaching. I agree with Kola. It's not working at all. And people can say whatever they want. If they need to improve, they will need to get a coach. A coach like Coach KP can really come and bring the solution there. I'm serious. Okay. Coach KP, what's your take?
You know, Nadim, it's gonna be very difficult to convince people that the coaches is not working, because you look at the Chiefs' track record away. They've played 4 games, they've won 3, they drew 1, and then so far they are on, like I said to you, they are on number 5th. They are on the 5th position, but them having on the 5th position also, they are just 5 points below number 1. You see, and they can easily go to number 2 if they win their game. So it's going to be extremely difficult to convince people. I think as much as the coaches might
I think it's very easy. I think it's very easy. They played a team that have one win from 15 games. They couldn't score a goal.
Yeah, but they've played 12 games so far, Nadim. You look at the number of points that they've collected this season. Remember, it's a combination of what has been happening in the previous seasons. They struggled to get to 30 last season. Now they are 4 points away from 30 points. So in overall, as much as the co-coaching might not be working out, but we need to give it to them to say the team has really progressed. If you look at the past seasons, they are currently on 23 points. Like I'm saying, they are 5 points behind the log leaders. So does it mean that they are regressing? No, I personally feel they're doing better. It's just that in terms of coaching, especially a team like Kaizer Chiefs, you need somebody who's going to take accountability. I looked at also.
No, the bottom line is the bottom line is that they couldn't beat a team that have won one game the whole season. And Kaizer Chiefs, remember, is the most supported team in Eastern Cape. When they're playing in Eastern Cape, it's like they're at home. It's like they're at home. For me, I feel like the coaching is not working. Yes, they started very well in the beginning of the season, but now they're on decline.
Yeah, I agree, man. Maybe it's not working, but like I'm saying, for me, it's a 50-50, looking at where they were and then where they are now. So that's what I'm saying. Let's give them a bit of credit. Just 2 minutes credit.
Okay, no, we are giving them, but the fans are not happy with not beating Chippa United, which was going to put them on top of Sundowns. Okay, look, another one, it's Vusimuzi Vilakazi on this. Do you guys think it's going to save Chippa United from relegation?
It's a difficult one. Looking at the number of games that they've already played. And to be honest, if you look at the Chippa, how they started, I think they've done fairly well as compared to their first coach being Obadela. When you look at the records of the 5 coaches that they have currently, he is leading because he drew against Mamelodi Sundowns. He won against let me just try and recap, but he won against, it was his second game.
That's
when he won, and then he lost. So he had a good track record. And then when you look at Vilakazi started with a loss, and then now he has a draw. We don't know what's going to happen to the next game. The only win that they had, it was at the beginning of the season, So now they are struggling to collect all maximum points. We don't know how it looks for them. Coach Vilakazi is confident saying Chippa is not going to be relegated. We can not confirm nor deny at this point because it's still open for anyone when you're looking at the points. I mean, they are not far behind number 11 on the log. So it's still open. They are like 4 or 5 points behind. They win 2 games. It changes their whole situation at this point. But it's open for anyone to still be relegated. It's sad to see both Eastern and Western province teams that are struggling in the log. It leaves a huge questioning to saying, is the Cape Townian based teams, are they struggling when it comes to the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape team? Because they are both number 15 and 16, which is something that is definitely not looking good for their provinces, And it's good to see other teams progressing and doing well, but we don't know how it's going to go about Coach Vila. But the nice thing is that he drew against Kaizer Chiefs, who were seemingly on song when it comes to collecting points in the league. So he managed to put a stop a bit, Gubo. He did fairly well. But he was also playing home. We were expecting Uguti, he was supposed to win that game. Then it was going to be a confident booster. I mean, it was a confident booster how they started. They started drawing with Mamelodi Sundowns. Then they won their following game against the Durban City. And then they started.
I think they won against, is it not Opit College? They beat Opit College, Chippa United.
They didn't draw.
Yeah, so that just shows that if you beat Opit College, I think, they won 2-1 against Opit College, Chippa United. They played on the...
it's going to be difficult for Coach Vusi because you look at their track record. They played 8 games home so far. And then on the 8 games, they've won 1, they've drawn 4, and then they've lost. So in total, in their 8 games at home, they've collected 7 points. And now coming back to the second leg, I mean, they are coming back to the second leg because they've played 15 games. They've played more games than most of the teams. When they come back January, they are going to their 16th game. So it's going to be difficult, especially with the kind of football that he plays. I think he's one of those that believes in his own philosophy that, you know what, this is how this is how I want to play, and this is how I'm going to keep it. But will the chairman be patient with him? That's the big question.
No. They just need to call my man Morgan Mamila there to help with Muzuflagas. I think they will be relegated. There's no story. I know a guy at the PSL called Fatwani. He deals with the media. They need to talk to him and see how they can start preparing for next year's NFT. They'll definitely be relegated, Chippa. There's no story about it. Let's move on, gentlemen, to Mamelodi Sundowns. We saw them struggling to beat Siwelele, which was good news for Orlando Pirates. Kola, what's your take on that match?
I did say this before, but I don't know how Sundowns plays now. You know, it's a very difficult one. They're struggling to collect points against the Siwelele, which is a team they dominated when they were still called Supersport United, and struggling collecting points against such teams. They struggle to also collect maximum points against the Chippa United, who's at the bottom of the log. So it raises a lot of eyebrows to say, is the coach now showing that he is a bit struggling when it comes to the league, because he's out of the MTN 8, he's out of the Carling Black Label. The only trophy that he still has a chance to win, it's the league that is trailing behind Orlando Pirates, and the Nedbank Cup, which it's been a while also since they won that trophy, you know. So Asaz Guti, what is it with them that they still have patience that they did not have with Coach Mangoba, with Coach Kulane, him winning the league and still being sucked out? You know, so maybe it's the point that I've raised to say maybe we are not patient enough with our own, but we are patient enough with the Europeans. So it's a very very difficult task, but let's see how they go about it, because when it comes in this position and the time of the year, Mamelodi Sundowns, we know Guti, they already are on the second, third, fourth gear, making sure Guti they leave the statement behind to say catch us if you can. But now they are doing the chasing, something that hasn't been happening for the previous 10 to 11 years now. So Asaz Guti, is Coach Cardoso the right coach for Mamelodi Sundowns, or they also now going back into their drawing boards, having to start monitoring the next coach who's going to take over?
I know from the fact that when Sundowns lost the Champions League against Pyramids, the president of Sundowns, Mtsipe, wanted him out of Sundowns. But Hlophe Mtsipe, the son, who's the chairman of Mamelodi Sundowns, is very close to Flemingberg. They are the one who saved Miguel Cardoso from staying. That's the reason he's still there. I think he's getting a support, Miguel Cardoso, from the chairman, Hlophe Mtsipe, and from Flemingberg, the sporting director, of which we didn't see that kind of support to Mangoba Mngqithi and Coach Rulane, who broke every record, most wins in the league, goal scoring, clean sheets, but he was sacked like as if he did as if he like he killed someone at clock up. You know, like I'm beginning to think that Flemingberg doesn't really support local coaches, which is unfair and wrong. I don't like it, but it is what it is, Coach KP.
Yeah, it's difficult, very difficult, man. Sorry, Coach KB. I mean, they also struggled against the Golden Arrows. Golden Arrows won 1-0 against Mamelodi Sundowns. So are we then saying Coach Mangoba is better than Coach Cardoso? But he was given the same grace as the other one is getting. I don't know, Coach KB.
You know, it's tricky, man, and I think there's a trend that is happening when it comes to Mamelodi Sundowns, man. I think it goes back to what Umlungisi once said, that you take these wins as granted. It's as if you must win these games. So I think it goes back to him, Rulan Mukwena, what he has said, that empires, they don't just shut down, bit by bit, bit by bit. Also, you look at the kind of, you ask, how did they hire this guy? Did they look at his CV to say, he's the guy who's going to win us Champions League? He's the guy who's going to keep our DNA and all that. Because from the first day he came, I questioned his style of play. That is Mamelodi Sundowns happy to get the results, but fade away with the style of play, what they call piano in shoeshine? Or are they going to sacrifice the DNA and the soul of the club just for the sake of winning the CAF Champions League? And when I looked at it, I thought, well, maybe that's how Hlophe looked at it, to say Champions League is more important. And I mean, in this first season, he took them to the final. I think that's one thing. That's maybe what Trope is trying to back up to say the coach will win Champions League. But on the domestic here, he's struggling. He's really struggling. You look at his stats right now. I think he has made history in the last 8 years, 8 or 10. I think this is the first coach who goes to Christmas second on the log, not number one. Sundowns is used to be over 30 points by now. But you look at it now, they're on the 26 points. I see they've lost one, yes, but they drew 5 games. And this is how you lose the league. If you remember, Rivero at Pirates, he didn't lose too many games, but he had too many draws in his locker. So I wonder how long are they going to keep him? Also, you look at again, I questioned when everyone was raving and happy about Umkulisi when he came in against Lugopo, when he played those short balls. And I said, but it was just on the side. It's good to see those, Tola. But if you're going to do that because you are leading 3, bring him in when you're in need of a goal. Because you cannot always be saying, no, Mkulisi is a good player. Yes, he's a great player. We all agree. But the coach brings him in when he's winning. You look at the players that they've signed as well. Your Jalen Adams. At first, he was like a player who was shining. And I see they're trying to beef up their left back, but also their left back doesn't change. Yesterday's loss, Nadim, for me, it was a collection of errors. The first sub, I think their first sub was made on the 5th minute of Ugran Keka, and it was a forced substitute. I think it was an injury. And then you bring in Keegan Johnson, who has been slowly but surely being introduced. He was I don't think he was ready to come in that early, because if you look at the goal, yes, Ronza has majority of the blame, but if you look at the pass that moves from the center back straight to Ronza, it's wrong. Johnny's pass was not a good pass, especially if you are playing a back pass. It could have been dealt with. I agree. Ronza could have dealt with that. But you look at the type of football that Sundowns plays. You cannot now come and say, falter Ronza, he should have kicked it out, because that's not how they play. In other games, he's not pressed as he was, but I think those two needs to take the blame. Johannes needs to understand that if you are passing a keeper, you need to be accurate with your passes. You need to make sure that it gets there. The pass was wrong. Ronza, yes, as well as a captain, number 1 in the nation, you need to be able to identify where there's danger and just clear the ball. I feel it could have been avoided. And also touching on the red card, I don't know if you saw it or if you had a time to go review. I'm sorry, but I don't think that was a red card. I don't think that was a second bookable offense. For me, he won the ball, man. Maybe the ref looked at the where they say you cannot come from behind. But I honestly felt that was not a red card. And Sundowns form is not looking good. When they are less 5 on the log, they've drawn, they've won, and then they just lost. So for them to be second, like Jola said, for them to be second with 2 points behind the Orlando Pirates, but Orlando Pirates having a game in hand, it means that the things tables have turned. Mamelodi Sundowns is now chasing instead of leading. So we'll see how good if they are the greatest hunters. So let's wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. Also, not forgetting that they were eliminated by Marumo Gallants, even in the Carling Cup. They were beaten by Orlando Pirates in the MTN 8 semis. So it doesn't look good. I mean, it's a miracle that the guy is still there. It shows that he has a really strong support at Sundowns, of which we didn't see to local coaches. Your last one on this game.
Very difficult one. Sorry, Nadim. And I'm trying to get to your point, Yaga, Coach KB. La. Uguti, are they saying maybe Cardoso is the right personnel to win the Champions League? When you look at the Champions League history, I don't think there's a team that won a Champions League and didn't win their league. It's yet to be proven. You look at Abu Al Ahly when they are winning the Champions League, they are dominating in their leagues. So there's no imbalance of both, because once you are chasing the league, it might be a distraction as well to you chasing the Champions League. So at least even in Europe, when Real Madrid wins the Champions League, they already won the league probably with 5 games to go to spare. So how is it going to work while you still have the pressure of having to win the league that we know Sundowns should be? Because in people's eyes, Sundowns should be given the trophy, the PSL trophy, before even the league starts. But it's not looking like it's that. So how are they going to cope with both competitions now, having to go with the pressure? We saw also they struggled, Nyana going away playing against Urulani. Or maybe is Cardoso struggling to play against former coaches of Mamelodi Sundowns because they know the coach, like the players, better than he does?
But also,
It's
No,
a
but
tough.
it looks like
no, like
Cardoso struggling to play
you
with
look at
organized teams.
last season, Zola. Last season, Pyramids won Champions League, and they didn't win the league. Last won it. So I don't know. I'm just
No,
trying to
but
give it the role that they play.
that's why I kept quiet when Kola said that Pyramids should have won because there were points, they were protesting that thing. They should have won. There were points that were deducted unfair. So it was
Oh,
not a fair and square Ali Pyramids. You can read about it. Pyramids were on top. So what Kola was saying is that the team that win the Champions League are usually strong in the league and strong on both sides. So
yeah,
Pyramids were
now
very, very strong. Yeah.
so now with Pirates having signed the number of players that they have signed, and do you, maybe it was a blessing that Pirates is out in the Champions League, because now if you look at the squad that Pirates has and you look at the log as it is now, Sundowns is behind them. Sundowns is still in the Champions League, so maybe it's a blessing in disgrace that Pirates is out in the Champions League and they will be able to compete. And so I'm saying this is the first time we're going to be saying Mamelodi Sundowns hunting or chasing the league. Because in all the seasons, like you just said, before it even starts, we say, let's give it to Mamelodi Sundowns. But tables have turned. They've played 13 games. They are not even on their 30th mark that they are usually at when they get to the 10th game. So maybe Cardoso does have something. Because if you remember, man, I think even when they announced him, there was no, we are waiting for paperwork. So you can see things were done silently somewhere. And you know, someone said this, I don't know who was it. I'm trying to remember that guy's name, but I forgot. He said Mamelodi Sundowns only does well with the local coaches. Maybe Klopp needs to go back and check the track record of Mamelodi Sundowns if they've got any European coach who came in and did better. And but now who are they going to get locally? Are they going to swallow the pride, go back to Rulani? Are they going to call back Mangova? Are they going to deal with their case with Peter Musimani or what?
I don't think they will coach. I don't think they will go to Rulani as long Flemingbeck is there. I don't think they will go to Pizzo as long that court case is not sorted. I agree with you. They need a local coach, but the sign of the soil, Steve Compella, my guy is there, so they must give it to Steve. No, it's a legend. Steve can improve him. Can improve Sundowns because we've seen him to improving teams like Golden Arrows, Free State Stars. With this quality of Sundowns, Steve knows what he's doing. But this guy, honestly speaking, is the wrong choice to coach Sundowns. But obviously, he's got the support from the chairman, Kloppenzip and Flemingbeck. But they are getting exposed that they are supporting the wrong man. Every day, they're getting exposed. And the fans are starting to say that Kloppenzip and Flemingbeck, they are backing the wrong guy. So that's how it is, guys.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see how it's about. I mean, Sundowns that is inconsistent. It's a very worrying factor. I mean, if they are unable to collect 9 points from or 10 points from 5 games, it's really concerning. So let's see how they go and how far they go in the Champions League. But
I
the way they
personally love it, guys. I'm against Sundowns winning 8 league titles in a row. I don't think it's good for any league. I hate it. I don't like it. I will never want one team to win 8 leagues in a row. No. I'm happy to sitting. I would rather have Kaizer Chiefs winning the league or Orlando Pirates or Skukune, Eric Tinkler. Sundowns winning the league, for me, I'll be happy if they don't win the league. I don't want them to win the league because it will make the PSL as if it's about Sundowns. What about the other teams? They need to pick up and challenge Sundowns. This is what they're doing now.
But you know my point, Nadim. I used to like it a lot because it was setting a standard in our league, in manner of saying it motivates other teams to also go out and spend for their players. It shows Guti when they were spending and they were spending on the right players. It can't go back to be questioned as to why are we spending so much money but we are not dominating and winning the league. It could have in improving his standard and the financial fair play PSL to say it becomes a bit unfair to find a player that is probably getting paid 10,000 rand having to go compete about in and around a player that is earning 100,000 rand. There's a huge imbalance So what are we saying about the standard of our league? So if Mamelodi Sundowns was dominating and they were spending money, it was opening other doors and avenues for other teams to say, actually, let's spend on these players, we'll get the perfect quality. But when Sundowns is known to be the most rich team in the PSL, the most dominating team in the PSL, the most spending team in the PSL, and they are struggling, it says to other teams, we can do it without even spending. So it decreases the standard of e-league, So there's no way you can go in England and find a player being underpaid and there's disputes, teams not paying players. They are not there. That's why the competition is as tight as it is. It's not easily predictable. You can't just say Man City is going to win the league, Arsenal is going to win the league, Liverpool's going to win the league. You wait until they get into their 20-something games and say, oh, these ones are competing against these ones. But like PSL, it was always obvious. The league goes to Mamelodi Sundowns. Yeah, maybe trophies to Pirates. But when things are a bit balanced now, it gives a huge boost to the community. That's why most games Orlando Pirates is playing, it's sold out because they opened the checkbook. They went to get a lot of players that were doing good in their team, which was standard and this style same Mamelodi Sundowns, And Orlando Pirates did it. They are doing it currently. It's working. I hope other teams also are learning.
So,
No, good point, Kola. I think to improve the league, before I come to you, Coach KP,
yeah,
I think
okay.
the PSL must have a rules. We must know how much each and every player earn. That will stop team from paying a player 2,500. Just like we saw at Royal AM, where was that woman, the reality TV star, Mamkis? She was paying another player 2.5 and Tawoma Club 120,000. So those kind of things, once the salaries are hidden, it's easy to exploit players. But if we know how much you are getting, we are not going to pay a player 300,000, then the another player 17,000. I agree with you on that. Coach JP?
Yeah, but also, man, don't you? I think maybe yes, Sundowns has regressed, but aren't we not? Are we not giving them too much benefits? Maybe the other teams have also progressed. I mean, you look at the log leaders, Orlando Pirates, as compared to the team that is TS Galaxy, that is 8th. It's 8 points difference. So maybe also the other teams are progressing in terms of they've realized this is how Sundowns plays. Maybe
No,
other
the problem with that, the minute Sundowns hire a local coach, you'll see them winning every game. So I disagree with that. We've seen it. So I disagree with that. And then in other matches, guys, we've got Skukune beating Marques 1-0. So Skukune, like they're on 25 points. I mean, third from the league. Then Marques again, 11 points, 15. What's your take on that match, Cole?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, to be honest. It's a very difficult one, but it is expected. When you look at the spendings Iskukune has made, the signings, the experience that they have, you are expecting them to dominate teams like Abo Makesi because they went on, they signed Abo Hopla, which are experienced. They still have Abo Munari, and they mixed experience with youngsters, which is kind of looking like it's beneficial for them. Hence, you see them where they are. But we know Iskukune is always to be competing in the top 4. I don't know how they lose it at the end to struggle qualifying till making it to the top 2 and competing continental as well. So Imakesi, they didn't go out and spend a lot on players. I think they stick to their trial and tested and going to sign ANFD, the unknowns and all of those things. But it's not looking good. Even when you look at the track record here, PSL, you cannot finish e-league the previous season, fighting a relegation and surviving at the last moments and going again, surviving. What's going to happen when you can't survive anymore? Which is something that we saw in Ejomo Cosmos. They kept on surviving until they can't survive anymore and they find themselves playing in the amateur leagues. So I think teams needs to learn Uguti, you cannot play at the edge and not expect to fall. You must always be in and around a safe space. Then Uguti, you are like you've touched on Polokwane, they have a good start, which when it comes to the second round of the season, even when they are dipping down, they're dropping points, but they've already secured a safe spot to saying we are not going to be relegated because they over and above the 30 points margin. That is proven to be safe net for the PSL teams. So Imakesi being second on the log, they are competing against Abu Chippa, they are competing against Abu Orbit. Orbit is the new kid on the block, which Unadin says when you're playing against the Orbit, you should be guaranteed 3 points. But when you look at those teams that are bottom, Stellenbosch is bottom, Imakesi is bottom, Ichipa is bottom, and all of those teams were in the PSL last season. Orbit, you look at 2-3 seasons back, they were not even on the professional setup. And now you see in the professional setup, they have a team like Stellenbosch beneath them. It's surprisingly, so you then have to then ask question as to, is something going wrong there? Stellenbosch, Imakesi, Chipa. Imakesi, they are the previous Carling Black Label winner. Stellenbosch, they also won a Carling Black Label, but we find them where they are now. Uguti, is something wrong happening there? If you have any information, Nadim, because we know you are a journalist who's got all the info, you can maybe, enlighten us. Uguti, what's happening? Is everything going on well? Are there any quarrels and dispute? Because at some point I saw Thabo Mloisane also was rumored to be going Stellenbosch, but he's still there. So maybe
No, Kola, that's a good point. That's a good point. Sorry to interrupt you, Kola. The strategy is very wrong. How they survive by selling players, Stellenbosch, even Chippa United, they always release their best players. That strategy, it didn't work at Jomo Cosmos. It didn't work in Baroka. It didn't work to Cape Town City.
yes,
But in the next 2 years or so, we'll end up not having a team from Western Cape and Eastern Cape. Actually, next season, it looks like teams that knows how to survive is team from Gauteng. At the moment now, we don't have a team from Pumalanga. We don't have a team from Northern Cape. Of course, we've got Kukune and Polokwane City in Limpopo. But if you look at the other provinces, they struggle. Okay, Durban, obviously, it's a football province. You see teams from KZN are always Durban City bouncing back. You see Amazulu fighting. Richards Bay, they don't want to go down. Golden Arrows, they will always be there and about trying to stay in the PSL. But if you look in Cape Town, their method is very wrong. They want to sell everyone. Immediately you call them, they're interested to release players. Other teams like Skukune, it's not going to be easy for them or Amazulu to just to release their players like that. They must also want to release the player. So that's why I feel it's a problem. This thing of overselling, it doesn't work. It kills teams. So that's why you see a team like Stellenbosch fighting to stay up in the PSL, not to win the league or win anything. We see Chippa United going down to be relegated end of the season. Coach KP, what's your take on what Paul has said? And also, you can touch base on Polokwane City beating Stellenbosch, of which it before it was going to look like a surprise. Now it look normally because Polokwane City are number 6 on the log with 23 points. Stellenbosch are number 12 with 14 points.
Hey, when it comes to Magezi, I don't know how teams are ran, man. Maybe you can give us that information as well as you have to. What was the use of them firing their previous coach, Owen Dagam? I mean, the guy was doing well to save them from relegation. They went and they played, but now he gets to be sacked as to why we don't know. Maybe there was not agreement or something. So for them to be fighting relegation, it's nothing new. I mean, it's something that I expected. But I don't think they'll go down. They will somehow find a way of staying in the Betway Premiership. And then it's Kukuni. Kukuni started very well. I mean, there's a time where it looked like we're going to have a Leicester City season, but not in Betway. It gets to be proved. They started very well, and then they had a dip of a form. Umagwaza Robla started not having firing blanks now. But seeing them bounce back to win yesterday, I'm not sure if it was a dominant game because I see they scored on their sixth minute. A mistake which I felt Uchipezeze should have dealt with the ball way better. But yeah, in overall, I think Skukuni is doing well for themselves as a team. They've been top 3 for the last 2 to 3 seasons, top 4, top 3. It's either them or Stellenbosch, as you have said in the previous. But so far, I think they're doing well. Eric Tickler is doing well for himself as a coach. Also, not far-fetched. If you look at the points, they are on 25 points. They are a point behind Mamelodi Sundowns. So yeah, and they are yet to play Mamelodi Sundowns. So we will see. I mean, they are on equal number of games, just a point behind them. So we'll see how they come back with it. You go to Polokwane City, man. Uputi always knows how to start. Even last season, he started very well. He starts the season very well. I think it's a good strategy to start the season very well because we all know that 30 points you are safe from relegation. And you look at where they are at, they are on 23 points, 7 points away from relegation, being saved automatically from relegation. So he's one coach that has been doing well. And maybe because of he's not going to cup finals and not finishing fourth and third, he's not recognized. But I feel as a team, Polokwane City is doing fairly enough, man. Yeah, Stellenbosch, man. Stellenbosch is tricky. Stellenbosch is very tricky because you look at the players that they have sold. You ask yourself, what was the reason for them to sell them? Is it because they had a replacement? Because Stellenbosch always found a way of replacing them. They always had a. You look at Ufaun Basadin currently. They have Umdaga. They also have they've signed a new player. So I don't know what was the strategy. Maybe Steve Barker is also not helping a team in selling all his good players. I mean, every season there's a good player that goes out. Every season there's a good player that goes out. Will they be relegated? No. I don't agree with you. I don't think they'll be relegated. As much as their business model is not the best, but I
So
don't see
did you think Cape Town City were gonna be relegated last season?
Yeah, I saw it very early. With Cape Town
Okay,
City,
that's an interesting one.
it's just that it's not on the record, but with Cape Town City, I saw it very early. I don't think Stellenbosch will finish on top 10 end of the season. They won't get relegated. They've got a good coach,
Yeah, but
Nadim.
and then Chippa United.
How did we go back to Chippa now?
No, I'm asking, will Chippa United survive? Will they stay?
Yeah, they'll stay. I think they'll win the playoffs.
Anything is possible in the PSL. I mean, look at Richards Bay last season. They were fighting relegation and then they ended up finishing in the top 8. So I think there's a huge possibility for a turnaround change. We just have to be patient, wait and see. Maybe let's give it the next 3-4 games. Then from there we would know who's going out or who has a potential of being relegated. But as it is for now, it's not an easy open one to can just say Chippa is gone, Makesi is gone, or Stellenbosch is
That's
gone.
the thing. I mean, I don't even need to wait. I just see some of the things. It's like an accident waiting to happen. Just like your former coach, Gavin Hunt. I did say Gavin Hunt is not going to reach December as a coach of Durban City. Scholar, immediately he left your former team win 3-0. Please take out to that game where they beat up college yesterday 3-0.
Yeah, Nadine, it was a questionable one as to how they let go of him while he was still in the top 8, but we don't know the agreement between the coach and the team or any disputes that they have that led to him being sacked, you know. But in most cases, when teams change coaches, it's a huge motivation for each and every player because every player then says, oh, now it's a new coach who's been given the role. Probably the philosophy assistant coach as he has taken over as the caretaker coach wasn't in line with the coach. Hence, Mina, I support in most cases for a head coach to come with his assistant coach like they are doing in Europe because I have someone who understands and who me and him were in the same power when it comes to the style of play and the philosophy that we want to introduce into the team. So when you find a new coach, he probably does not believe in the philosophy of the coach that you bringing in, because we see the caretaker coach, we know he's the one who helped the other coach, Richards Bay, to win the league, to be promoted, and then the head coach was sacked. They introduced a new coach. We don't know if their working relation was perfectly fine. And as he's been handed over the opportunity to caretaker, the team won 3-0. So the players also are saying, Coach, you can use me. I didn't have the opportunity with the previous coach, but I know now I stand a greater opportunity also for me to compete for my position. So they did well. It's in most cases you see teams having to chip in new coaches and then they get the results. But it did not happen in Chippa United because they brought in Ovilagazi. The first game they lost. Now it's a draw. So there's a bit of imbalance. We can't say it works. That's the strategy that people should use or shouldn't use. But in most cases, I know as a player, when a new coach is being brought in, it's an open floor for each and every player. I think that's why even with Absalom, when he was introduced with Pirates, no one was guaranteed a position until he had to go back to a drawing board and to find the perfect fit for him to have a fluidity and a consistency with team yakhe. So Durban City, they did well. Let's see in their next coming game if they're going to do well as well. Then we can say maybe the team was not working with Coach Gavin and the player are responding to the new strategy, the new coaching method, the new philosophy. Because in methodology, I'm a coach. It's not always the same. They have their own way of doing things. Probably the assistant coach was doing whatever that the head coach was wanting, as much as he did not believe in it. But as soon as he's handed over the ship to be the one running with it, he obviously now knows and he's going to go back to his beliefs and his trusted methods that have worked for him to find himself where he is today.
So, and the interesting thing with that one, Coach Kola, is it not the same coach who promoted Durban City?
He was the assistant coach. The
When
one who
in the
the one
NFD.
the one who promoted them was Simo, the one who's an assistant coach for Amazulu. So they have the same surname.
Oh, okay. Oh,
You
I
know,
see.
so maybe with them it was working well. Mhlambe Nesbong was combining.
Oh, that's an interesting one. No, thank you so much for that, Kola. Coach KP, as we wrap up the PSL, what's your take on that game? We see Coach Hunt Gavin struggling. Then he didn't beat Pirates. He felt he should have won. That was his last game. So now they've got a new coach who just took them and win.
I mean, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't think that was a footballing decision made there. Because for a team that has just newly been promoted, we just spoke about teams that are fighting relegation, and we're not even mentioning them. He leaves the team in the top 8, and you cannot. I don't. Hence, what I'm saying, it's not a footballing decision. How do you fire someone from losing to Orlando Pirates? And if you look at the game, I think the first 10 to 15 minutes, they should have scored. We saw also on MTN 8, and not on MTN 8, but on Monday, the sports review, where the former referee says that they should have been awarded a penalty. So I don't think it's a footballing decision, Nadim. I think Kevin Hunt was doing well with a newly promoted team. Currently, they were sitting on 8. Now they are sitting on 7 with yesterday's win. Yesterday's win, for me, doesn't say much. You just alluded that everyone can be able
But
to beat
you can't say
Obi.
it's a wrong decision. Do you know what is their ambition? What if their ambition is to qualify for the Champions League?
Yeah, but it's still early for them to fire him. It's still way
No,
too
maybe they
early.
saw that is not number 1 or number 2. They might not qualify for the Champions League, so they need a new coach.
It's decisions like this that you end up seeing teams fighting their relegation. When the coach is doing well, now you become too ambitious. What happened to taking one step at a time? You just beg in the bad way,
But the thing is that
because
they won. They won after firing him. If you want to know
yeah, but they won
how not
against
to
who?
run a team, if you want to know how not to run a team, just look at Chippa United. Don't worry about the other teams. If you want to know an
No,
example, what not to do, they won against
no.
Orbit College.
Yeah, let's wait and see end of January if we'll be singing the same song. I don't think there's nothing if are they unless if they've got a different coach who is there. But like Utola said, what was the use of him coming in alone and then just after you say you are the assistant coach, you take over, he wins. And this is one thing that I also don't like, especially in South Africa. It seems like the assistant coaches are somehow applying for the coaches' jobs, but within the players. They are not speaking to the
No,
managers.
no, don't worry about that. I will try and call the owner and find out. I don't want to speculate. I hear you are saying it was the off the field incidents, just like maybe when Siema, the Hlohonololo Siema left Sekhukhune. I don't know. I don't have fact to that. I'm gonna verify. Kola, what's your take on that? Do you think it was a football-based decision or on the field incident?
Honestly, I don't like speculating as well, but we don't know what was the agreement between the team and the coach, you know? What, like you said, what if the agreement was saying after 15 games or after 14 games, you'll have us in within the top 5 or the top 4,
Yeah.
you know? And then they saw Wuti, even with the last game before reaching the 15th game, you are not going to make the promise that you've gave us. So I think it's best we part ways. Or maybe it was an on off the field type of decision that occurred. We don't know as yet.
Like the one for the Hlohonololo CMS Sekhukhune, yeah.
Yeah, because Ulsono Siema left when I think he was number 3, if I'm not mistaken. But he was still sacked.
Yeah.
Only you know the facts that you don't want to give as to what was the reason behind that sacking.
I said that on Metro FM. Yes, Siema was so angry. You called Andile. Andile was in a yard in Durban. You called him. Yeah, you called everyone he knows. But he says, I want that team to apologize. Andile and them, they were asking, apologize for what?
So did you
apologize for what? Because I told them that he must thank me that I didn't explain the reason why he left his Sekhukhune. I said he was not even going to be coaching in the PSL now. He's supposed to thank me. These coaches, they must learn to keep quiet when we say things, because we say things with serious information that this is what happened, this is what happened. Most of the people, most of our sources actually are inside their teams. They're the one who tell us this is what's happening. So it's one of those things, guys.
Yeah, so I'm shocked to find Uti, you haven't find a proper source with Durban City to give us the information.
No. There's no team. I don't have a source. I want to speak to the owner exactly. There's no team. There's no team. I don't have a source.
Also, you have
In South Africa,
you have a bit of information as to why did he, but you
no, I
want to
want to
hear
speak to
from
the owner. The owner is an open guy. He's free to the media. I don't even want to speak to the staff people. They will tell me what. We find that they didn't like Gavin Hunt. They will tell me one-sided stories. Because I remember when I used to go, I will go to Bidvest when Gavin Hunt was there. You speak to Gavin Hunt, you hear this story. You speak to the kit manager and the other people, you hear this kind of stories. I want to speak to the owner now because it's the one who sacked Gavin Hunt. You know?
So we shouldn't speculate at this present moment as to why Coach Gavin left. It could be either or. Maybe off the field, maybe the agreement in terms of contractual
Yes,
he
I
had.
agree.
And until we have all the facts correct, then we can then say, oh, the reason behind him leaving Durban City, as everyone sees it as he had a good run. Maybe for the team and the contractual agreement, it wasn't that. You know, Tina, in our eyes, it looks good, and we were shocked to say, oh, but he's in the top 8 before the half of the season. What's the real reason for him to leave a team while he's propelling it into the right direction? But maybe then the team had an overlook and they were like, no, this is not what you've promised us. So I think we can both go our separate ways. So until we have the facts, or maybe Coach Gavin will one day speak as to how he ended up leaving Durban City, the reasons behind, and maybe the team will come out and say, no, we had to let go of the coach because of 1, 2, 3. So for now, we leave it as it is. We cannot base it on hearsay or whatsoever until we have the facts on the table.
And we cannot even read Sokhala Tuma because they will just write everything they want.
Anything
Hey,
that
guys,
the paper.
yeah, exactly. Guys, as we wrap, the log is very straightforward. If you look at the top 8 teams, Orlando Pirates 28 points from 12 games, Sundowns 26, 13 games, Sekhukhune, Eric Tinkler, former Buccaneer, 25 points, 13 games, Amazulu. I'm so proud of Atazwane, guys. Yes, really. It just shows, sometimes you must leave your comfort zone. He left Kaizer Chiefs, Amazulu in the top 4, 24 points from 14 games. I think Amazulu, they might be in the top 4 in the league. It's possible. Obviously, they're not going to win the league. And then you look at Kaizer Chiefs, 23 points for 12 games. I can say it's an improvement for the community of coaches. I say it's a community of coaches. You don't know who's coaching. Tomorrow you see the other guy, the former interpreter, talking to the reporters. Then the other one you see Ben Yusuf. Whatever the case is, Kaizer Chiefs have improved from last season because it looks like they might even reach more than 35 points. We don't know how they're going to come back next year. Polokwane City, 23 games, 14, obviously, is Durban City. They're in the top 8. TS Galaxy, Team Sugazi, 20 points from 13 games. Guys, that's it. Thank you so much for your input. It's been a very, very informative board, Coach KP, and technical analysis from Kola. The master himself, thank you so much. Please continue subscribing to NSL 360. Share the live, and yeah, those who want to support can support us in either way by sharing the live to your friends and subscribing. Thank you so much, everyone. See you soon.